You were listening to episode 157 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and we go toe-to-toe and blow for blow with this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge!
So for those of you wondering, this week was a little bit of Super Punch-Out. Ryan and I are recording remotely. We didn't play a game last week, and we're like, let's pop out those SNES minis, take off the dust from the top of them, blow off that dust, and let's get to playing some Punch-Out. I had a good time, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I sent you a bunch of pictures. I've been rearranging my nerd room upstairs, and everything is so nice and awesome now, and I finally got my little TV back from you, upgraded our gaming experience on the regular, and threw that up on a wall mount, and so what I did, I couldn't find a way to put those like a little shelf under there, or I didn't want to go through all the effort. So I just took the stand that it sits on, lowered it, because it's got that stand is held on by like 8 screws in 2 rows. So I just lowered it 1 row and put the screws in, set the things on there, put a little bit of double-sided Velcro on there. Sweet little shelf.
So, I mean, I'm looking at it right now before we start digging into all of our stuff. Is that a pole that's holding it up? Like, is that the wall mount? What is that?
No, that's a cable hide.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, it looks like a pole. So, I mean, it kind of has this like look to it. Like you literally are holding the stand on, but like 1 pole on the corner. I'm like, damn, that's a strong ass pole.
Yeah, it sucks too. Like, I put it there because that's basically like right under where the mount is.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I was like, I've got a lot more flex in these cables. I could move that over so that it's not like in a stupid place. Then as I went to peel it off, I could see it started to rip the paint off the wall. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah, you're like, no, let's not do this.
I know. I have a bunch of touch-up stuff that I should really do on my walls. So maybe one day I'll just rip it off because I'll just do touch-up everywhere and just move it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way
Not
to do
today,
it, unfortunately. No, that's a project for another day, for sure.
I'm always in my head after I try to remove something adhesive. I was like, why didn't I just go grab the hairdryer? Because that works like most of the time.
Yeah, but I mean, like the hairdryer, if it's adhesive on like a wall, you're going to still end up with like potentially peeling off the paint because of the heat.
Yeah. Either way, it's going to happen probably.
Yeah, exactly. Easier just kind of tear it off and then redo it at that point.
Anyways, enough home renovation.
Yeah, exactly. Home renovation with Ryan. So pickups. I'll start with this one because I actually had some pickups this week. I picked up Fable 2 and 3 on the Xbox 360 this week for $4 a pop. Which wasn't too bad. Yeah, complete in box, no scratches actually. So I went to a Goodwill. My wife was getting her eyebrows and stuff done, and she's like, "Hey, can you take me to my appointment? It's like 15 minutes, and then we're gonna go run some other errands." I'm like, "Well, there's a Goodwill right across the street, so let's pop over and see what they got." And quite a few games, but nothing that was like really, anything that I really wanted per se.
Nothing special.
And like they had a copy of Halo because I don't have Halo 1 actually, oddly enough. So I was going to pick up Halo, but it was scratched to all hell. So I was like, nah, I can pick up a copy of Halo for $6-7 online, no worries. And I'm not going to have to worry about scratches. Whereas this thing was just terrible. But the 2 games were no scratches and no top scratches either. So that was good. I also got some magic cards for my green Stompy deck. So I picked up a Ren 7. I was kind of pissed because I picked up 2 because, as you know, I need 3 for that deck. So I picked up 2 because they were like $14 a piece. And then they messaged me and said, hey, one of them was lost, so we can only sell you 1. Yeah, okay. I know how shops work. You probably sold it to somebody and then didn't realize you still had it on TCG. And so now, I get the, shit end of that. But $14 wasn't bad for a card that's like $18 at the moment. And then I picked up a few other supporting cards for that deck. So I'm slowly building it. I want to see what you have to trade first before I, go.
Yeah, I got all 4 of those pack leaders, 1 of the Ren 7, and both of the Rangers.
Yeah, which is great because that's really like the bulk of what I need. I'm pretty sure I have everything else except for some cards that you're not going to have, so I'm going to have to buy them anyways, like Faceless Haven and a couple other things. But yeah, so that's what I'm looking to do, finish that deck. And then I really want to play some Friday Night Magic with you, so we got to get something down, dude. Because my D&D sessions are actually shifting to with Joel every other Sunday now. So our schedule used to be like we'd play on Friday for his campaign, play on Sunday for mine, but his wife now has to work like, I don't know, 1 o'clock to 10:30 or something nowadays on
Oh, that
Fridays for it.
sucks.
Well, she's getting a boost in pay and stuff. And
That's good.
so yeah, so it's like get a boost in pay, have a manager position, but it's a manager role for like 1:30 to 10:30 on that day in particular. And so it's like, yeah, let's go to like every other Sunday. That helps me from a prepping standpoint, session wise, because now I have 2 weeks almost to prep D&D, and then it helps him as well because his is all homebrew. So that's nice. And the person that we're playing with here, our new character that's on, or our new player in my campaign, we're going to see if she wants to play in his campaign as well, because she happens to live not too far from him. So it ends up working out to where we can boost up his group as far as like the amount of players. My players, I'll have a group of 5 total. He'll have a group of 4. And yeah, so see how that goes. And by the way, so this is pretty interesting. I haven't done a D&D update like this in a while, but and it'll be on currently playing, I guess. So I'll shift into this. So in his campaign, you remember I had that dwarf barbarian who was like giant axe and everything else.
Yeah.
So I ended up like having her decide that she wanted to help with Gauntlgrim, basically, and she wanted to support the military there, and she became a dwarf hero and everything else that she had done. So she stayed back, and so Joel's in this predicament now where he's like, "Well, shit, who are you playing?" I'm like, "I don't know, what NPCs you got?" Because like the other character I would be playing is not coming in for quite a while. He told me when we first had this thing come up, he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna go for like 2-3 months without any like character to play." Because like story wise, you're just not going to shift in at any point. I'm like, yeah, no big deal. So he's got me playing like this level 4 ranger mixed with like a level 4 cleric. And it's just been very interesting to play with his character. But we had this like crazy battle with a bunch of gnolls the other day. And dude, it was almost a TPK, but I had some clutch D&D play when that was occurring. So we had like some NPC archers that were like super weak, like 44 HP apiece sitting on the top of these buildings. I had one of my archers jump down and dash all the way across the map to where it couldn't get reached by any of the null enemies. And then I had my character who had like literally 2 spells to start this TPK type battle. I only had 2 level 1 spells I had to strategically use. And so somehow we escaped out of his battle with all of the other characters dying except for me and an archer NPC. And I just had like some clutch D20s that were every single turn, man. I was at least having a D20 hit these nulls from a distance. I mean, when you're able to fire from 80 to 200 feet with a crossbow, it's gonna happen. So it was funny play, man. I enjoyed it, and I think with his campaign, we're gonna be stopping here pretty soon, and then shifting into Beyond the Witchlight for that campaign.
Okay.
So I think he invited you to that, but I don't know how much space he has to do that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And then as far as the other things I'm playing right now, I have beat the story area of God of War.
You finished God of War.
God of War. I see that now. I put God of War. Yeah, wow.
I am Kratos. Give me your Tupperware lids.
Oh, I was thinking like WarioWare.
Oh.
The God of War. Yeah, so I have it spelled as Ware, but I said God of War. So I got to the top of Jotunheim, dumped the ashes, found out a lot of cool things about Kratos' story. It gives actually, in a sense, a sneak peek into what's going to be happening in the next game. So that's pretty cool, seeing that piece. And now it's just a matter of like going back and finding things. So like there's 2 realms that you actually can't go to, I'm assuming, until you unlock them through like other means. So I'm going to try and do that. And I'm going to be looking for Valkyrie battles and enjoying myself with that. So right now it's just all the exploring that I didn't do. Now I can do. And I can jump into like New Game Plus and stuff, but why? Like, why would I want to do that? I haven't even touched, like, I think I'm at 42% technically, like in completion of a game. So I'm just going to explore all that I can and enjoy God of War for what it is and do all the battles and all those side quests and all that, until I get tired of it and then move on to the next thing.
There you go.
Yeah, which I think is going to be To the Moon is what I'm going to play next. It's like, I think 4 to 8 hours or something. It might be more like 4 hours.
It's not that long of a game.
Yeah, super short RPG. I want to play that. see how that goes, and then and then I'm really torn over New Games Resolution, man. Like, I really want to play Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Like, it's the two games that I'm really thinking of. But then out of the back of my mind, I'm like, I could play Killzone. And there's multiple Killzone games that I could play, but I've always wanted to finish.
Well, I mean, you don't have to like use it as a series, John.
I know, but
it didn't work so well for either of us in the past.
Well, no. See, in the past, when I said Shenmue 1 and 2, I said, I'm going to see how I feel about Shenmue 1 and then move on to 2. And I decided, let's not do Shenmue 2 right away because that's a little much.
I think I beat Zone of the Ender's Second Runner on like New Year's Eve or something.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Because you did the GBA and then you did Zone of the Enders and then you did number 2. That's
yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was a rough year. So
hey, that was my most successful year. The following year was a rough year.
It's true. Yeah, Persona 4, right? Or Persona 4. That was bad too. Okay, so we'll dive into you, but before we jump into like what you picked up, Mario Odyssey. Since we're talking New Games Resolution, where are you at on that?
So I just beat the Brutal in the Luncheon Kingdom. I think I've got like 110 power moons or something, or maybe a little bit more. I don't know. I was looking online and it said you need like 124 minimum to beat the game. So I guess I'm like right near there, the end. Like, is the Luncheon like the second to last kingdom?
I don't know, man. I beat the game like what, a year and a half, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
I don't know. I'm getting through it. It's still early November.
It's mid-November.
Is it?
Yes, it is like mid-November.
No, tomorrow it's mid-November.
True, tomorrow's mid-November, but are you really going to play on Thanksgiving and Black Friday?
Dude, I'll be done by then.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't have that much left of this. I should
hold Ryan accountable on all of our social media.
I mean, I'll definitely be done by the end of the year.
You think so?
For sure.
All right. You said that with Persona and time ticked away slowly and we got to that and ended up.
Yeah, but I'm actually playing this one. I was playing it just last night.
Okay. I believe you. But if you don't beat it, Spice World is coming up.
No Spice World. Hold the spice.
Well, we'll see.
Bland World. Give me Bland World.
Bland World. That is, I don't know. What game would that be? I'm not sure. We'll have to figure that out. What Bland World might be. All right. So what'd you pick up?
I got the Zelda Game & Watch, and it was the last one on the shelf at Target yesterday morning when I went and got it. And it is so much better than the Mario Game & Watch. Like, unbelievably so. Like, the box, when you open it, it has like a nice like display inside that has like a stand you can back out of or pop out of the back. It's got like a little Triforce on the side. It would look really nice to display with. I'm carrying mine with me because it's got Zelda 1, Zelda 2, and Link's Awakening, although it is the standard Game Boy Link's Awakening, not the GBA or Game Boy Color version.
Gotcha.
But, I mean, who cares? That's like a lot of good stuff to be able to have with you like super easily. I feel like it's just a better release because like the Mario one just has like Mario and then the Lost Levels, but it's like you could have fit more on there, obviously, because there's way more to this than there is to those.
Yeah, and those games are longer too, and have a lot more to them.
Yeah, so I'm really happy with that. I also went on and I finally got onto the Secret Lair and bought the Monster Movie pack drop, the foil set.
Nice.
So if you're listening to this like as soon as it comes out, you might have like an hour or two left because I think there's like less than 24 hours at this point left on the sale. So that's all the things in Secret Lair for October, and then they're gone. So now's your chance.
Yeah, I decided to not get the Secret Lair. I'm going to basically get the 2019 Commander decks. I finally got my $75 gift card for getting my windshield changed out. So I'm going to put that towards the Commander decks.
I thought these ones were so cool because they just look so different to normal Magic cards. I thought they would be worth getting my hands on. I also found something interesting online this week that I wasn't aware of was a thing. And now I have like a new thing that I want to buy Like, I've been wanting a 2DS for like a long time and just never got one. They have these awesome, like the clear plastic for red version, green version, blue version, yellow version release of the 2DS, and the box looks like the old school like Japanese release of the Pokemon covers. So I want to get a green one of those. I think that would be like a sick shelf piece, and also, you know, even though they're region locked, flashcards aren't region locked, so I would just use it with a flashcard anyways, most likely.
Yeah, actually, I saw those the other day too.
They're
Those
super
Pokemon
cool. I didn't
versions.
know those
Yeah.
were things. I don't think I like the yellow look of the plastic, but like the green one looks sick, and the blue and the red one look cool.
Yeah, but you know the yellow one's gonna be the one that's worth the most money.
I don't care. I've got enough Pikachu merch anyways.
I know.
So that's something. I mean, I'm definitely not buying that anytime soon, but it's something that I'll keep in my little brain space up here for maybe a one day thing. And then
how's Playdate Watch going?
Shut up, John. So I've been on Playdate Watch 2021, and it has evolved into Playdate Watch 2022. But I mean, you know, I can't fault them. Like, for them to come out and be like, "Hey, we got our first 5,000 units in, and there were problems with the batteries. So we sent them all back to Malaysia. We already have the new batteries on order to get changed out. You're still going to get your first batch in early 2022 now." So it's like, oh, I got to wait. But I mean, good things come to those who wait.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just glad I'm still in the first 20,000, because that means other people are going to be waiting even longer now, because they're redesigning all the chip work inside too. They're going to put a new main thing in there, I guess, to get around all the issues that they're having right now.
Well, we'll see long term how that thing pans out for you, man. At least they're catching the issues now, and they're just like, hey, we're going to definitely look into this. But it's such a small release to begin with. They kind of have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so playing this week, obviously I said I've been playing Mario Odyssey. I checked out the Zelda Game & Watch and ran through a little bit of each of those, and it just looks so good. The screen, everything's amazing about it. And then I did get Forza Horizon 5 on Game Pass and have been playing that. That is awesome. Like, people are going all out calling it like Game of the Year contender and giving it a ton of credit. And I'm not going to say that it's undue credit, that like it's not deserving of that, because it's pretty cool. Like, I'm not that into racing games, and it's got me going for it. It's got this great, and I don't know if it's like always been a thing, and I'm just so out of racing games, but there's like this blue line of arrows that extends in front of you as you drive that basically shows like the optimum path to drive. And then it fades from blue to yellow to let you know to like pull off the gas, and then yellow to red to let you know to hit your brake. And if you just intuitively like follow it with your fingers, like, you take every turn like super awesome. It makes you feel like really good at doing it in a way that's not like obtrusive and annoying, and it gives you something to shoot for. Like, that's kind of the thing with racing games that's always been like a challenge, is like, not only do you have to perform well, but you have to like know where you're going. And sometimes in racing games, especially like this one's kind of open in a lot of ways, you know, you can see where the flags are, but if you don't go right in between the flags, you're going to fail. It also has this awesome rewind feature that, you know, it feels like when they've been doing like remakes of games, they'll kind of put stuff like that in. But it's like, I would love for games to just all have like a Sands of Time rewind feature, just so that it's like, okay, I screwed up. Let me just take that back 5 seconds instead of having to spend the next 2 minutes trying to overcome it or start again because of that one mishap.
Yeah.
So it lets you do that, and it kind of like automatically rewinds you back to a point where it's like, okay, is this where you want to be? And it'll kind of bring it back more if you want to go more, but it won't just stop you like in the middle of like chaos. It kind of tries to pick a point where it's like, okay, now you've got some control of what you're doing.
Um, so speaking of like games that you're currently playing, how do you feel about playing some Elden Ring tonight?
Uh Elden Ring tonight?
Yeah, tonight. So I have my code still, and I have not had any time to jump on because like conflicting times. Like I was doing something Friday, and then the other testing time I was out looking at cars, and then today I have D&D. So like between 7 and 10 p.m. Pacific time. So our 8 to 11 um, Elden Ring network testing. If you want it and you intend on playing it, let me know. Otherwise, I'll take like an hour tonight to play it.
I mean, I could think about it.
All right, let me know by this afternoon because I got the
Yeah.
code. It's got to be downloaded, obviously, and then you can update us and give your perspective next week on Elden Ring.
I mean, I've seen a couple people put out coverage. Vati put out a video on it, and somebody else did too. I don't remember who, but man, it looks really good. It sounds like it's got cool stuff.
Yeah,
I
if you
want
want
to
to play
summon a pack of dogs to fight for me.
it. Yeah, I watched a video the other day and it was pretty sweet. Well, so before we jump into our articles, of course, find us on social media at Game Deflators on Twitter, at The Game Deflators on Instagram and Facebook. Of course, find us on thegamedeflators.com and all the podcast applications out there in the world that you are, that you have available to you. So, our articles this week, we are going to be looking at October NPD numbers. So, the Switch outselling the Xbox and PlayStation, graphics card availability, and pretty much looking at how it's not going to improve until 2022 to get your hands on one. And then PS5 owners not playing Sony first party games. That'll be followed by, of course, our inflation deflation. But the first one. So Ryan, October 2021 numbers are showing that the Nintendo Switch has outsold the Xbox and PlayStation. So this is by Jeff Grubb over at VentureBeat. My question to you is, how long do you think this is going to sustain for Nintendo? So I talked about this on the Nintendo Fuse podcast, and I think there were, a few things that need to happen for it to really sustain or go the opposite way. So just want to definitely hear your opinion on that first.
Well, I think that, they just released the OLED, and that's definitely going to propel them until the year 20XX. I was just talking about this with our friend the other day. Somebody was asking me, like, hey, if I wanted to check out Animal Crossing. And I was like, well, it depends on how you want to approach it, because you can, spend the $300 to get the standard Switch. You could spend, what is it, like $350 to get the Switch OLED, or $400 to get the Switch OLED, and then it's like $190 for the Switch Lite. So do you want to switch the Switches? Do you just want something that you can casually sit on the couch and play? Do you want something that's going to be kind of like, more performance and look better? Like, it's definitely an upgrade. Like, if I was recommending somebody today, I would be like, spend the extra money and get the Switch OLED, because you're going to be long-term happier with that product, because you're not going to, you're never going to have that envy of the upgrade at that point. Like, I feel like if you get in on the middle, the classic Switch now, you're always going to be like, well, I could have gotten the OLED. You got to have that mentality. Like, I was super confident in my purchase of the Series S because I knew what I wanted from it. And I knew that going with the Series X was going to be harder to get, more expensive, and in the long run kind of lead me towards spending more money on that system that I really don't want to spend. So, I think that the Switch family has so many options that you could really pick your entry point, and that's what's going to sustain it going forward, because like, there's also room to settle. Like, if you go to the store, they don't have what you want, but you want it because that new game just came out, you're going to buy whatever one is available and maybe just be happy with it. So,
yeah, I mean, it's a good point. The thing that I see here in terms of it sustaining is, when does Nintendo truly plan to release this next console, right? And is it going to be like a true like Switch 2 or Super Nintendo Switch or whatever the
it
hell they
better
want to call
be
it?
backwards compatible.
Yeah, exactly. So like if it's backwards compatible, great. Like, or are we just going to see a Switch Pro, which is essentially the same thing that we've had with just like some upgrades and such. So it's not truly another console in a sense, right? The equivalent to like a PS4 and a PS4 Pro. The other issue, of course, is supply chains. So are we still going to have this issue in 2022 to where, the availability of these consoles is not as good as it is, even today? So I don't know, man. I think at the end of the day, I think Nintendo can sustain these types of sales as long as there's nothing down the road that says, "Hey, we're going to be moving on for this or from this and going to a different console." That's where I can see this sustaining. I mean, it's a great console. Why would you need anything else? And we talked about this a little bit last week too. If they decide to go into like a higher powered route with a new console, I mean, that right there is going to deter tons of folks from wanting to continue picking up Switch and Switch games, unless, to your point, there's a backwards compatibility aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, yeah, well, not too much on here. I mean, did you have the actual numbers up? I don't think they had them on here. I actually didn't even care about those numbers.
Well, we just kind of went over
the Switch aspect, but
so October 2020, 472 million, and that's increased 82%. Or so that's what it was last year. So it's increased 82% over that.
Yeah.
And then 53% year-to-date hardware spending has increased 53% when compared to the same period a year ago. So, I mean, that's another thing. Like, so many people were casually propelled into the space because of lockdown and stuff like that. So, more of those people are kind of probably bringing other people in at this point. Like, after the lockdown and going back out, people are like, oh, what'd you do? Oh, I played a ton of Animal Crossing. And people are like, oh, what's that? Exactly. It's probably exactly what happened with my friend. Heard about it from somebody else now that lockdown's over.
Yeah. So, by the way, so I was looking up the actual like numbers here for units sold and such. And as I did that, there was an autoplay video. So I'm watching you talk and I have some like French guy in the background speaking. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I was so confused.
I'm in two places at once.
So I pulled up the figures. So the Nintendo Switch sold 711,000 units overall in October, with 314,000 of those being the OLED model. It also says on here that Dread sold 854,000 units as well. So that is not too bad.
No, that's good.
But year over year, actually, they were 3% down from last October. And they do mention a chip shortage being one of those things. So it does make you wonder, if we don't have a chip shortage and it's sustaining these types of figures the same as it was in 2020, what are we going to be looking at in 2022? Are we going to see an increase because availability is greater?
Could be.
We'll find out. So next time on October Sales 2022. Okay. Speaking of supply chain issues, graphics card.
Dun, dun, dun.
So graphics card availability likely won't improve until late 2022. And here's why. This is Robert Carnevale at Windows Central. And so really what he kind of dives into is the same issues that we know of, right? Supply chain issues being a crazy reason as to why they're, so bad, but also things like, Bitcoin miners or really just crypto miners in general, taking a lot of these cards and hoarding them and doing what they're doing. So while this isn't something we really talk about a ton on the podcast, I know PC gaming is obviously a huge part of our world. So do you actually think we are going to have better luck in 2022 finding a damn GPU, or is it just going to be the same craziness over again?
I feel like I've been talking about all of our articles already. I'm like, I'm already talked through on these. So I was just talking to somebody about the Steam Deck, and then we started talking about graphics card and supply chain and all that nonsense. I think that it's going to continue to be tough. I mean, we know from all those pictures online of big shipping yards full of boxes and stuff that it's going to keep going, and all the manufacturing stuff and the chip shortages, blah, 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 blah. It's all we're ever talking about. Graphics cards are hard to get. If you want a graphics card, buy a pre-built PC and sell all the other parts that came with it. Like, that might be the easiest way, because, those bigger brands that are trying to put together those pre-builts and sell them for like big upgrade cash, they've got a lot more buying power than we do as individuals trying to just get them off a store shelf. And that's also a much more proof way to get something like that, because scalpers aren't going to do that. I don't know if it's worth it for Bitcoin miners or whatever to do, but I mean, who knows?
So I was just thinking about this. Like, we have to do a Game Deflators Mission Impossible. Go to the shipyards over the coast of California and find a crate of GPUs.
I think that's called theft.
No, not if we have a TikTok.
Not if we play that song in the background.
And have TikTok in the background. Then when somebody catches us, be like, no, it's a prank.
We're doing a TikTok.
Yeah, we're doing TikTok. Don't worry about it. I think it's going to stay the same, to be honest. I did notice in this article, though, they called out that NVIDIA, for example, has been working with Samsung this entire time, and Samsung is having crazy production issues, and that's why they're not able to produce as many chips. And so they're working with another company now to develop chips, which should help in the long run, with their production of GPUs. I just can't see it getting better in 2022. I mean, because when we say supply chain constraints, it isn't necessarily that you just have this chip shortage. There's also, from a US perspective, there's a shortage in people being employed. I think I saw a number yesterday that said like 3.5 million people retired, and 2.4 million of those people in the US plan to stay retired. So, I mean, you've lost a huge chunk of workforce. So, obviously they're not going to all be tied to this. But if we're already having a labor shortage on top of a chip shortage, on top of like supply chain issues and constraints, I can't see this like fixing itself in like 6 months. They do say end of 2022, but I think we're still going to have this problem all throughout 2022.
Maybe the best way to move forward is to just get a job as a scalper. And then you don't have to worry about the shortages because you're causing them.
Maybe. So all of us can become scalpers. All of us need to buy our bot programs and fight against each other so we can. So then when other bot programs are better than ours, we have to struggle to not be able to scalp. Yeah.
Struggle's real. There's always struggle.
Sounds like a solid plan for 2022. Honestly, I really am hoping there's some sort of like laws that are put into place down the road to protect consumers so they can actually purchase stuff instead of all these bots coming through and buying every damn thing they can. It's honestly ridiculous, man. Like there really should be something against this. Okay. So the next piece that we have here is PS5 owners are not playing Sony first-party games. This is Ari Notice at Kotaku. And so really it's a top 10 of the most played PS5 games. And I'll start from the bottom, actually. So you have NBA 2K22, Demon's Souls, Marvel Spider-Man, Miles Morales, MLB The Show 21, Destiny 2, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, NBA 2K21, which is interesting because it's way above 2K22, FIFA 21, Call of Duty Black Ops, Cold War, and surprise, surprise, Fortnite makes the top of a list of the most time spent playing on the PS5. So I will be upfront and say that this is based on cumulative hours, but my point on this, like, obviously, it's going to be, based on cumulative hours, it's going to be a multiplayer game. Like, there's no doubt about that. But my main question here is, why the hell are people still playing Fortnite on a PS5? Like, why would you go out and get a PS5 to play Fortnite? That makes no sense. Well, because you
probably. So here's the thing: a lot of the first-party PS5 games, there's not many. There's Astro's Playroom, Death Stranding Director's Cut, Demon's Souls, Destruction All-Stars, Ghost of Tsushima, and Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Ratchet and Clank is on there. You have Bug Snacks came out. I don't know if that's first party necessarily, but I mean, honestly, I think there's probably there's like 16 or 20 first party games actually on the console. I'd have to look at the image, but I saw one a while back that showed every first party game that came out, and there's actually quite a few, like more so than we think.
So anyways, most of those games aren't games that have like super comeback potential. Like, you could sink a lot of time into Ghost of Tsushima, but like once you beat Astro's Playroom, you're not going in there and spending a lot of time. Once you beat Ratchet and Clank, you're not going back for a second and third playthrough. I mean, Miles Morales is a pretty big game, but it's also a last gen game. So, most people are probably not racing out to spend hundreds of hours playing these titles. Like, we talked recently about how Sony's like really gearing towards all these amazing, single player campaign stories. And that's just not reflective of what this list is. Like,
Yeah.
So that's not surprising to me. Also,
Like, I totally get why Fortnite is on the top of this list, because when you do look at it from an hours perspective, yeah, like mathematically, this is always going to be the case. A multiplayer game is always going to be above something like Ratchet and Clank or Demon Souls. Although Demon Souls you can pump a ton of time into. So that's probably why it's on the list. But I guess my main thing is like, if you're going out to get a PS5 and you're looking at it from like say better graphics perspective, why wouldn't you just go to PC to play Fortnite?
because
Like
people
it's
want to sit on their couch
you
and
could sit on
play.
you could sit on your couch and play Fortnite on a PC.
Yeah, but a PC is more expensive. Like you could buy an overpriced PS5 from a scalper and pay less than you would for a PC. And you
Yeah,
never have to, like my biggest thing with PC is like I don't want to ever have to deal with all the headaches of drivers and why doesn't this work and forums and stuff. It's just too much.
that's where you just replace
People that
parts.
play FIFA, NBA, MLB, NBA. Why are there two? Why is NBA 2K21 and NBA 2K22 on this list?
That's what I pointed out. I was like, like really, guys? And then FIFA 21, I can get that. There's probably tons of people out there that, I don't
Well,
think
and
FIFA
it's the
22
last
is out.
FIFA.
Yeah, I don't think 22 is out yet. So that's probably part of that. And
Well,
FIFA
didn't they
is,
just lose their FIFA license?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to FIFA, but I know FIFA does have a large fan base because soccer is, one of the most popular sports in the world. So it would make sense that FIFA is like way up on this list, but still. And FIFA is fun, by the way, the times that I have played it.
Yeah, I don't know. We know that they're working on a big list of games coming out soon, or maybe not coming out soon, but they're working on a big list of first party games. Like I think it was like 20 plus games or something that they have in the oven. So, those numbers will change. Those numbers will pour in. I just think that, the PS5, like, we're still at that point where, for the most part, it's just stuff that you can still get on last gen. Like, there's really not a whole lot of, like, oh, man, I got to get the PS5 because I can't do this literally anywhere else.
I mean, Returnal is one that you can't play anywhere else.
Yeah, but
Same with
nobody's
Ratchet and
breaking
Clank.
down the door for either of those games.
I mean, they're good games, though.
Yeah, they're good games, but they're not gonna push me to like stand in line.
Yeah, well, I mean, nowadays, like, what game is? I really haven't had that experience in a very long time.
Elden Ring, like,
Yeah, but
if
I pre-ordered that.
well, no, but I mean, like, if I had like a shot to get like a PS5 and Elden Ring was out, that would be different.
Well, I mean, Elden Ring's going to be on PS4 as well, though.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
so like like you wouldn't go out of your way to get a PS5 just for that.
See, that's the thing. Like, I wasn't gonna buy games on my Xbox really, but I'm thinking about just buying Elden Ring on there because who knows when I'm gonna get a PS5.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got it on PS5, and I'm hoping I get one by February. So, from a timing perspective, my Best Buy credit card, what I've got on there right now for my phone, my last payment is February. That happens to also be the last payment for my washing machine and dryer. So my hope is that I get a PS5 in February for Elden Ring, pop it back on that Best Buy credit card, and potentially a new TV. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Are you a member of the like Best Buy has this like $200 membership thing that you can sign up for that if you're in it now, you can get like exclusive access to be able to try to purchase a PS5?
No, and I'm not going to do that. I mean, by the time February rolls around, and I think a lot of these businesses are honestly hoarding PS5s right now.
Well, we saw Walmart is.
Yeah, they're all hoarding it. There's no way that they aren't, man. They want to create some crazy demand and sell a bunch during that time of year. So, yeah, I don't anticipate not being able to get a PS5 in February.
Okay. Really? I think it's still going to be impossible.
No, man. I think by that point you're going to have so many people that have picked them up, and because these companies are hoarding them, I think we'll be fine. So let's jump into our inflation deflation this week. We played a little bit of Super Punch Out. specifically on our SNES minis. I thought I had this game actually, so I wanted to play on the Retron 5 and upscale it and everything, but that didn't work out. I guess I don't have it. But you have on here, by the way, you have developed by Nintendo R&D 3. Is that right, or is that a damn typo?
No, that's right.
Okay, cool. Published by Nintendo, directed by Makoto Owada and Yasuyuki Oyagi. Did I get that right?
You did very good, John.
I did. I didn't even practice that. That was on the fly. That was released in September of 1994. It is, of course, titled a sports game, technically boxing, and reception is between anywhere from like an 8 to 9 out of 10 on this game. I'll kick it off here. I played... Kick it. Well, really punch it. So I played just like the minor circuit. And dude, Punch Out is just such a hard game. Like,
how far did you get?
So I beat the one guy, Hurricane, I think is his name.
Oh, you beat Piston Hurricane? I couldn't get past him. I got a like whole game over to him.
Yeah, so I beat Piston Hurricane. I lost the next guy. I actually almost had the next guy. I forget his name, but he like uppercut, and it's like a one-shot uppercut, and you're done. So, like,
wow.
So this game, like, I remember playing Mike Tyson's Punch Out quite a bit in the past. And the Punch Out games in general, dude, the difficulty like ramps up like crazy.
Yeah, so you're like, man, I'm the champ. I wrecked those first two guys. Glass Joe, this old man, whatever.
Yeah, the big guy that like you punch his belly and he sticks his tongue out at you, and it's like, okay, cool. Like I can totally dodge around this. But Piston Hurricane, he's like, I'm just gonna throw 100 punches at once.
Do.
Dude, it was insane. So like I got past Piston Hurricane on like my third or fourth try, and then jumped onto the next one, and actually had all the way through when I had to knock the next guy down to like a 2 count. I'm like, oh, this is gonna suck. So then he comes up with one uppercut, knocks me down. I'm like, shit. I'm like, seriously? Took him down to about 3/4 of the way. He knocked me out again, got him to his third bar, and then he just uppercut me again, and I was out.
Yeah.
Like immediately. I'm like, God. And of course I had no rest. There was like no practice. That's the beauty of this game though. Because this game, like as difficult as it is definitely beatable. And a few more run throughs and practicing on the footwork and dodges and making sure you're blocking correctly. Dude, this game is so much fun. Like I truly enjoy the Punch Out series or franchise. I think this is honestly probably the better one out of all of them, in my opinion.
I don't have much experience with the Punch Out franchise. I got really interested in it kind of from watching Summoning Salt's videos on the speedrunning community and the blindfolded speedrunning community for Mike Tyson's Punch Out. So I think that it's really cool. I know that there's a lot of history with these games. I think it's awesome that like Little Mac is a part of Smash, and I don't know. I have so much less exposure to Super Punch Out. Like seeing the character models and just how everything was, like it looked so different, but like so much more advanced. It looked like when you see like an old game that had an arcade release versus like a home console release, and how much like, whoa, like the arcade version was. And it's like, it seems like Super Punch Out really is like Super Punch Out. Like it looks gorgeous, like all the animation and like, you know, how like I don't know, like when I was like in there blocking against Piston Hurricane, and it's like up down dodge, and it's like it feels really good. Boxing is such a great sport to translate into gaming, and it, you know, with these first few iterations, it did a lot. And I know that there's been kind of like a drought in like the Fight Night games for a while, and that's coming back. There's something about like, if you've ever seen like Hajime no Ippo, it's a really good boxing anime. There's something about that and Rocky and like Little Mac, the underdog, you know, coming up, fighting your way through the ranks. Like everybody could kind of relate and dig on that story motif. So I think that they're really exciting games that make you want to come back and play. Like you get to see like your record at the end when you're game over and he's sitting there on the bench. And it's like, no, we could do this. Come on.
Yeah, and it's like, don't retire. It's like, keep pushing or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's pretty badass. You know, I don't know if it's like this in this game, because I mean, we only played as much as we did, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, this would be an awesome game if like you could continue to build up your character's stamina and everything else as you progress. So like, yeah, you had a three, like I had a 3 and 4 record the first go around, and I started playing a little bit more just to get some fun with it. I never did get past, Piston, but or no, I got past Piston, I didn't get past the other guy. But I think the really cool thing on this, like if you could build up that stamina continually and just like keep fighting with these guys and like continue building up your points, continue building up your stamina to where you have your rematches and things are just much easier moving along. I mean, maybe that is something, and I just didn't get that far. But I think it would be cool if it's not included.
Yeah, I'm surprised nobody out there has made like a successful like indie modernization of this. Like maybe there's not just a lot to go in and change around to really be original with. I'm not sure, but it seems like something like that would do well. Like you could be expressive, you can get like, people that are allusions to other famous, more modern boxers, because this game is older. There's been a lot of modern history since then that you can incorporate into that.
Yeah, but the one thing I like about this, and if you read out the wiki, it really calls out as well. The thing that was, I think, cooler versus the other Punch Outs is that this does feel a little bit more cartoony to me, and it does have that like outlandish, colorful style for everything, and that's really what kind of drew me into this versus like the Mike Tyson and I think it's the Mr. Dream Punch Out as well. Um, that's just my opinion on it too. Like I like this style better. It feels like it needs to be this, not so professional looking. Because there's a time and place for like your fight nights and everything, and
Yeah.
those types of boxing games. And what is it, like Buster Douglas? I think on like the Genesis. There's tons of fighting games out there. This really does take it a step in the opposite direction and makes it like a lot more fun, I guess you could say.
Do you have any experience with the Wii Punch Out game?
No, but I have it. So that might be one for us to play down the road and see what we think about this. Um, and I mean, I played a little bit of like, I guess I played Wii Sports Boxing.
Yeah.
If we want to put it in the comparison, and while that's like okay, I
That
think
was
this
a
is
system seller.
yeah, right. I think bowling was the system seller on that. No, I think like this is so much better than anything like that could be, done. I'm trying to look at the wiki here to see if there's anything additional. It looks like in 2016 there was a direct port of the game as well that was released for the 3DS Virtual Console. So that's pretty interesting.
Huh.
I can't really imagine playing that game in 3D.
They probably
Like,
didn't,
yeah, probably stuck it in just
because it was a
2D.
direct port. They would have had to do stuff to
Yeah,
make 3D work.
yeah. And then just a little bit of background as far as like the reviews and such. So the game itself is praised for having good controls, which I totally agree with. Deceptive challenge, which yes, it is very challenging. It is deceptive in that aspect. Spirit layouts and animation, sounds were good as well, and obviously the music too. The one thing it says here though that there's a lack of an easy use to two-player mode. I don't recall seeing like a two-player mode on there, but I've only got one controller for my mini, so that could be part of it. And obviously, you weren't here to play, so there wouldn't have even been a chance to play two-player regardless.
Wait, you only have one controller for your mini?
Yeah, and I gotta see if I have two.
It comes with two. I
It
know.
does.
I just left my second one in the box.
That might be what it is. I gotta go look for my box then. So, but I guess anything else in this before we dive into our brass tacks?
No. So, complete in box, we're looking at 138 US dollars. That's peaking right now in November 2021, and it looks like it's just shooting for the moon right now. So the time to buy Punch Out at a reasonable price has passed. I mean, this game was like a $54 game like last year at the beginning of 2020. So it's gone way up. Loose, you're still looking $27.49. That didn't peak so long ago. $34.36 back in June 2021. It's kind of lifted up a little bit, but I think that one's kind of gonna mellow out. I don't know that one's gonna keep climbing like the complete in boxes here.
Yeah, I think the complete in boxes, like those, I think we're going to continue to see skyrocketing in value. For even on some of these games that were like a little more mass produced than others. primary reason being that it is complete in box. The cover art, especially Super Nintendo. I love Super Nintendo box art.
Yeah.
Like, it's fantastic. So I can see a lot of these games spiking in value just
And they're
because
only
of
going to
that.
get worse condition and more accidents. So complete in box is always going to keep going because that cardboard is not going to last forever.
No, and I mean, it's going to become more scarce over time. So I can totally see that being the catalyst there for higher prices on complete in box. And then loose. I mean, we're looking at 27.49 now. I still, despite this game being a fun game, I can't see myself paying more than $25 for this.
Yeah, I mean, this game has been historically like sub 20, but I mean that collector's bump from the market that we're in these days is just the reality of it. So I mean, while you might not want to pay more than 25, I hesitate to see a future where you could pay less than 25.
Yeah. I mean, it's a couple bucks more than what I would say is a good value. Am I going to say that the game is,
The good news
inflated?
is you could
Go
just
on.
get it on Super Nintendo Classic.
That's if you can find one.
But I mean, either way, it's going to be, a more economical value. Like, that's the thing. Like, moving forward, even though the Super Nintendo Classic isn't just readily available on store shelves, it is a way to circumvent the having to collect the original game in order to play the hardware. Like, this is a really close approximation. It feels like you're playing on the original hardware. It's got lots of access to stuff. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, you might be able to get, or you might say that like one of the Mario games on Super Nintendo is overpriced, but you can always buy the Mario All-Stars pack and get your money's worth. Like, the Super Nintendo Classic's always going to be an option to get your money's worth because these games are only going to continue to go up.
Yeah. So, I mean, Super Nintendo Classic for sure is the way to go here. If you are looking, like you just die hard, really want to have a loose copy of this game, is $27.49 like the worst possible deal? No, not necessarily. Am I going to call it inflated? No. I mean, I think it's priced right for the market that it's in. So I would say just right.
Same
Where
here.
I would say what I would want to pay, though, is $25 or less, but likely not to happen unless you can get a sweet deal.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. So just right this week. We got to think about next week and what we want to do. I mean, it's November. Could play Wampum again. Just kidding with you. I don't know. We'll figure it out for next week. We'll be in person so we can play a couple games and knock them out and
be thankful.
Go from there. We could try playing a GBA game on the whatchamacallit, on my Retron 5.
That's another thing that I was thinking about. Let's just talk for a moment about New Games Resolution 2022.
Okay.
So I was thinking, like, what games or game or series or what have you do I want to check out? What do I want to play? And I know that they're coming out with that new, version of Advanced Wars for Switch. And I'm like, I've never played Advanced Wars. Everybody says that that's a really good one. But would it be better to just play it on GBA than to play the Switch version? Like, is that in the New Games Resolution to play a game that you've always wanted to play that isn't even out yet?
Well, when does it come out?
I have no idea. 20XX.
20XX. I mean,
everything's 20XX now. We live in Mega Man time.
I mean, you can mark it off as a game you've always wanted to play because, like, technically it is Advanced Wars 1 and 2. It's just got, like, some new features and whatnot. I mean, I'd say have at it. If you want to play Advanced Wars 1 and 2. I know I don't have number 2, so you'd be kind of shit out of luck on that one. But I do have number 1.
Yeah.
So it's an option for you.
Always an option. Well, I don't know. I've got so many ideas. Like, I've been thinking of, like, I could just do as many Dooms as I can possibly play through. Maybe Cyberpunk. You
haven't played Doom correctly until it's on a pregnancy test.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got to play on pregnancy test as well.
Dude,
all forms of Doom.
I saw some guy playing, like, I forget what it was. I think he was playing Doom 2016 on, like, a full HD screen the size of like a postage stamp.
Jeez.
And he's just like standing there, and it's just like he's got this board in front of his face, like this far away, and you could just see like the little square that he's playing on. And like the resolution is incredible. Like it looks fantastic for being so tiny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, up to you, man, on what you want to do, but I can help you out a little bit on that title, and unless you want to play it on Switch,
I don't know.
So
we'll keep thinking. We got some time left. I still got to get through this year's.
Yeah, for sure. I am messaging Barry from Premium Edition Games. I'm hoping we can have him next week. So let's play that by ear as well,
or sometime in the near future, at least.
Yeah, I'm going to aim for next week. So let's see. I said, how does next week sound? And he said, Tuesday and Wednesday, he has some stuff for free other days. So that sounds to me like Barry can record with us on a Sunday. So I will chat with him and we'll see. Maybe we can have y'all a Premium Edition Games update next week. Hear from Barry all the good stuff that they're doing. But we'll figure out a game as well over the week. Usually when we figure it out and we say over the week, we mean 10 minutes before the podcast. So, just kidding. But we'll figure some good stuff out. All right. Well, that being said, this has been episode 157 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.